But in Paul Watson's article at Infowars.com, Fed insider Cain caught in brazen debate lie. We're going to play this clip where it cuts from him getting mad at Ron Paul and saying, I'm tired of you misrepresenting me and saying I don't want an audit. I want an audit. And I didn't call people stupid that wanted one. And Ron Paul's like, oh, really? I'll get the quote then. Paul Watson has a link to it on Infowars.com. He wrote and said people that want an audit are stupid. That's a quote. He also said it on Neil Bortz's show that that an audit isn't needed. I mean, and Dew has found other quotes. So it just shows the deception. We've also got Ron Paul talking about how Herman Cain's answer on the subject about who would he appoint as a Federal Reserve head was, what did he say? Quote, what an insider would say. So that's all coming up. Let's go to Vincent in Nebraska. Vincent, thank you for calling.
Hello, Alex. I just want to make 3 points. I'll try to be real quick. The first point I want to make is that this coming Saturday, October 15th, anybody that's listening in the Midwest, Occupy Omaha is meeting up at 9 o'clock in the morning at the Omaha City Hall and then marching to the Federal Reserve Building in Omaha. The second point I want to make is that for any of our listeners, any of the Ron Paul people who are listening to this and who are getting involved in Occupy Omaha or reaching out to them, my suggestion would be, and we're doing it up here, is we're setting up days where we have seminars or education events to educate these people on how the Federal Reserve works and how the system works and how central banking works. And if you as a person is not that well versed on the issue, then I would suggest that you have set up a day where you have a movie screening of the video Freedom to Fascism, or the one I like is Money Banking in the Federal Reserve by the Von Mises Institute. And then the third point I want to make, I just want to say that I'm one of those stupid people that in Herman Cain's book, because about 9 months ago when he was in Council Bluffs in Iowa up here touring, I questioned him on the Federal Reserve, and he responded by saying, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. And then after that, he just talked about how all people want an audit are crazy.
Yeah, well, that's the 1980s and 90s response. The talking point by talk show hosts was, it doesn't exist. I remember being called into the program director's office when the real radio guy went and took a better job, the real program director, and they had a guy whose job before that had been as a mascot in a bee suit. He knew nothing about it. And he said, listen, you're putting out this disinfo that the Federal Reserve isn't a government institution. It is, and you're going to stop that. And I said, well, let me show you proof. He said, I don't want to see it. You need to get off these conspiracy theories. And you've been warned. Because he heard other hosts, national ones, saying it was government. And it's such a hoax that they live under. So Herman Cain said to you, I don't get into conspiracies, even mentioning the Federal Reserve. Again, I remember back if you mentioned the CFR, Limbaugh would say it didn't exist 20 years ago. Again, that's how long they've kept conservatives in the dark. That's these neocons' job, is to just sit on top people and make sure that they never find out the truth. Anything else, sir?
Well, I just also want to add that after that incident, he toured Iowa, and I was not the only one who questioned him on the Federal Reserve issue. And after his 2-week tour, after being cornered by all these activists all over the state of Iowa, then he came out with the video on YouTube talking about how he supports the Fed and supports Congressman Paul's audit of the Fed. So because of us cornering him all over the state of Iowa, he switched his...
No, you're right. He's gone from 6 months ago saying you're a kook, you're a liar, you're a nut. The Federal, to talk bad about it's a conspiracy theory. I mean, now having an opinion monetarily is a conspiracy theory. That's like, you don't like being groped by the TSA, you're a conspiracy theorist. Now it's not even that they're debating information. Now having a view, like I like chocolate ice cream instead of strawberry, that's a conspiracy theory. Yeah, I mean, literally, it's mind control. And yes, he's changed his tune and said, well, of course I'm for an audit. I've never said I wasn't. This is outrageous that you would say such a thing. And he says it with a straight face, which, again, shows you what a liar he is. I saw one commenter on Infowars.com in the article today saying Herman Cain lies just as easy as he tightens his tie. I mean, it's just automatic, corporate people are like, we need somebody with business experience. The big corporations, whatever made you think corporations can't be good, bad, or ugly, or indifferent? The big mega corporations, like Pillsbury that he worked for, go in and buy off politicians. That's their business. There's many corporations are bigger than most governments now. And there's this idea that they're perfect or their corporate welfare is good. If people are tired of the same old, and of more and more liberties being lost, more and more freedom being destroyed, our economy disappearing, well, what do you think the wages of corruption are? It's enslavement. It's degradation. And that's all that's happening right now. That's basically what we're dealing with here as a society. We are dealing with a group of people raised from the time they're children in front of the television set that the government cares about us, that the system wants to take good care of us. You're bombarded by all these TV ads and billboards about the government wants you to wear a seatbelt because they care about you, and the government wants you to call poison control if there's a problem, and the government loves you, and the government's the good guy. And now, right out of The Running Man, a Stephen King novel about the police state, where there's billboards up saying, don't trust your neighbors, nighttime curfew, you can be permanently detained, no judge, no jury. All of that is actually now manifesting. We are going into the long, dark, horrible night of classical tyranny. The globalists have taken every form of tyranny and homogenized it and then put an icing over it of high-tech control. And we have just been raised. I mean, these people are going to the government, the same government run by the megacorporations, that it's totally cheating us, robbing us blind 7 ways to Sunday, and then people are begging it to help them, begging it to give them something. The only hope we have as a society is to get government and the megacorporations that have taken on government power out of our lives. We're now entering the final phase of power structure consolidation, where the private megabanks are actually enthroning themselves with government power over countries they sold fraudulent debt and imploded. See, instead of going to prison, they're so bold they become rulers. And there is a man who was a regional governor of the true private corporate world government, the central private bank system known as the Federal Reserve here in the United States. Same thing in England, same thing in Europe. Same thing in Australia and New Zealand. Same system where for a dollar to be created, a dollar of debt is created on you and your family's backs. Instead of money being a symbol of exchange to speed commerce and the economy, it becomes a system of enslavement that mathematically you can't pay back. It's a fraudulent debt instrument. It's a toxic debt asset that only has value because you're assigned to it as a debtor, and then the globalists trade you as a debt slave around like monopoly money. And then here's Herman Cain riding in, and we're getting these compilations together, him on the campaign trail. We're going to do a lot of specials on this now because he's the main guy to go after along with Mitt Romney. We've exposed, to a certain extent, Rick Perry. He's on fire, crashing and burning right now if we keep the heat on him. Who would say the Federal Reserve, I'm not going to talk about that. I'm not going to talk about conspiracy theories. Again, their answer is, I don't like your monetary policy. I don't listen to conspiracy theories. See, used to they said it didn't even exist. Then they said it was federal and you were a conspiracy theory. Now, if you don't like their policy, you're a conspiracy theorist. But it doesn't work anymore. So now Herman Cain has been running around saying he wants to audit the Fed to make it better. Now, just a few months ago, before he'd even officially announced, he was running around. You can see these YouTube videos everywhere saying, I think it's great. I think it's wonderful. He also said in a clip coming up that Alan Greenspan was the best guy ever at the Fed. That's the literal architect of getting rid of Glass-Steagall, the derivatives, the fraud. It's the guy that told the president to appoint Bernanke, told Bush to appoint Bernanke, his heir, and Cain's like, I don't like Bernanke, but I like that Alan Greenspan. What? That's like saying, I don't like Stalin, but I sure like Lenin. I don't like Chairman Goering, but I sure like that Hitler. I don't like Rudolph, but I sure like Santa Claus. The architect of this current fraud, the guy running it, the guy that got rid of Glass-Steagall, did it all, is Alan Greenspan. And here's Herman Cain saying, we did a great job in the 90s when I was the chairman of the Kansas City Fed. I think it's really good. And I've got some people I want to appoint, but that's secret. And Ron Paul, like the old owl, looks at him, wise owl, and says, spoken like a true insider. Look, I'm going to go to John, listening on 1310 AM, Sunshine Network up in upstate New York. I guess it's over by Rochester, a great affiliate now of 12 years. And others that are patiently holding. But I want to go to these clips right now. Again, this first clip is, and this is only one piece. In Paul Watson's article, he has links to other examples and a link to the page from Herman Cain's book where he called Ron Paul supporters, quote, ignorant and stupid in his book. And we have a link to it in our article to his actual book where he says it. And, I mean, I've heard Neil Bortz for years, which is like the minion of Cain, make fun of me, say I'm a liar, Northwoods doesn't exist, the Federal Reserve is great. I'm a conspiracy theorist. I mean, we got to find this like 5 years ago because somebody called Bortz. I rarely listen, but he's on locally. I hear it sometimes. And I heard him like 2 weeks ago go, person called and they said, Neil, you used to criticize people. It was me, but the caller didn't mention that, who said that you're pushing the fair tax, but when it came time, you wouldn't get rid of the income tax. You'd keep the income tax and have a VAT and a sales tax. And they're going to keep FICA too, so it's really 9999 to begin. And Bortz is like, well, Herman's got to get elected. We got to compromise. I mean, I heard Bortz without ever even listening. I might listen every 2 weeks. I tuned in 4 or 5 years ago, and he was going, this Alex Jones kook says we're going to keep the income tax on top of it. That guy's a nut and a lunatic and a blah, blah, blah. And then here they are, 9999. FICA, Social Security garbage, income tax, VAT, sales tax. He says he only wants the income tax, VAT, and sales with federal control over everything. I mean, and then they're going to start jacking that up. This is what the Federal Reserve in the last few years has called for, is a VAT. The CFR has called for it. This is what they're doing in Europe. This is more money to them. The Federal Reserve took over in 1913 and got the income tax through. And only in America would idiot Republicans, idiots, anyone that's supporting Herman Cain or Mitt Romney or Rick Perry are certified morons. Just like you moron Obama supporters, totally financed by the most corrupt elements of Wall Street. And now he says he embraces organized, the Occupy Wall Street thing as it's total sham. It's like if you're against serial killers, but you want to, worship Jeffrey Dahmer. I mean, it's just, it's like saying you're afraid of dogs, so you go to the pet store and get 15 dogs to bring home with you. I mean, it's pure lunacy. Just like this Herman Cain clip. And the clip that we've got in our story, then it has some text in between before it cuts to Herman Cain filling in for Neil Bortz. And this is just one of the mild ones where, he's whitewashing things. We're digging up a lot of other ones before I go back to your calls. Let's go ahead and go to this first clip. Here's Herman Cain caught in a brazen debate lie. Get the article at Infowars.com. It's titled Fed Insider Cain Caught in Brazen Debate Lie. Even if you like the Federal Reserve, maybe you like Obamacare, and you like gun control, and you like carbon taxes like Mitt Romney does. And maybe you like the Federal Reserve financially gang raping you. He lied about it, though.